Hello everyone, welcome back. So if you couldn't guess by the title, exciting news! My book is one step closer to being published. So this will be my fourth book. It is a nonfiction witchcraft book on the topic of death and the whole process of it. I finally picked a title, got the cover, and I've also ordered my proofs and got all of the editions that Amazon offers available to be sort of ready. You have to go through the proof versions first, but for the most part, they're now ready. So to begin with, if you don't know what this book is about, basically I have for years, whenever a death happens, and we've had quite a few in the past decade, and whenever this happens, I always go to my books and it never has the information I need. Ever. Ever. And there's some information, some books have more than others, but for the most part, there is not a lot. And so for these books, I would go there in hopes to find something, and the most you'll get is a funeral ritual, and that's about it. And then you have other books on the topic of grieving and death, but they always kind of are really pigeonholed into like their specific little corners, and it never really covers all of the bases. And it's not that you need to cover everything, but like a nice little handbook of like kind of what to expect. None of those books had that. And so that is what my book I aim to try and do. So this book basically is walking you through the death journey. That's why I called it The Death Journey. I know, I'm so original. So I feel like any death you go through is a journey. It's not necessarily getting to a destination, because really grief will hit you out of the blue anytime. It doesn't matter how long it's been. And it's kind of like getting lost in the woods. You sometimes find yourself right back where you were, and sometimes you can make a little bit of progress, but like inevitably, like you still have that grief always around, and like just experiencing all of the like whirlwind that happens when a death occurs, like it's a journey. I also wanted this to be a practical guide alongside a witchcraft guide, because I felt like none of the witchcraft books really did that. So many of these books only focused on the witchcraft side if you were being like a death doula or a death priestess or priest, and that's great, but not for everybody. Not everyone wants to do a meditation as their loved one is like laying in a bed dying to be like, okay, you're good, I'm gonna meditate you dead. Because that's kind of how they felt to me, where it's like, that is not a place for me to be. I do not need to be involved in the when you die process. That's between you and whatever awaits that the living doesn't really have the privilege to know. Like, it just gives me the ick at the idea that like, you're gonna be like, okay, and the dark goddess or hell or Hades or, well actually it wouldn't be Hades, it would be Thanatos or whatever. Anyways, one of the death deities is gonna be like, all right, yep, you're coming with me. Now they said in a meditation you're coming, okay, so bye. That just never has sat well with me. And so like, that was kind of the only thing that there was. And then of course there was like a little bit for like funeral rites, but like the funeral service if it's for a witch. And that's about it. And most of the time it's like, oh, but with your coven around, and it's like, yeah, but what happens when you're a witch and it's a like Christian funeral? What about then? Because like, we're not talking about that. And we're not talking about like, what if you feel the need to do a lot of ritual and like there's nothing there? There's literally nothing. Like, what if you want to bless the headstone? What do you want to do for the first Samhain after they die? What do you want to, how, like, there's just so many bits and pieces on a witchcraft side that are kind of neglected. And then you also have the opposite spectrum, which is the practical stuff that those books just don't include. And honestly, a lot of people really could use that information. And so for what I've been up to is to basically try to combine the two. So for mine, I've tried to keep it practical, as in like, here's the paperwork and like some stuff you're gonna need to take care of. Because odds are good if you're buying this book, you're gonna be the executor or you're gonna be like helping the executor, and like at the very least having that knowledge, because at some point you're probably gonna be that person. Because like inevitably if you get to be old, that's just one of the perks that you get. Is it wanted? Not really, but it is something you have to deal with. And so like, if you are tasked with dealing with the death, there's just like mundane stuff that like people don't talk about. Do you know what the security codes are to everywhere? Like locks and like if there's like a code to get into a garage, code to get into a car, like a safety deposit box, let alone, like, do you know all of the streaming services you need to contact? Banks you need to contact. Like, there's just a lot of other stuff alongside witchery that happens when somebody dies. And so this book, I've tried to cover at least a baseline. Of course, everyone is going to be different. Some things will apply, some won't, but it gives you ideas of some stuff you need to deal with. And laws are going to vary state to state, but this is just kind of a broad stroke of information for people to use so that when the time comes, you can have the information there. Because again, we've gone through a lot of deaths in our family in the past decade specifically. Good Lord, it's been a lot of them. And so having gone through it from a lot of different perspectives, it just was like one of those things where it's like, we really need like a book to just have for like, oh shit hit the fan. And then you just grab the book and it like walks you through like, okay, hun, here's step one. What do you need to do today? And then as you go through things, like if there's going to be a burial, there's a few rituals to do to bless that spot. Because a lot of times you will know the location if you're like the ones directly doing the stuff. Like for some of ours, we've picked the exact spot. For others, like we just showed up. So like it's nice to know the spot. If you do, then you can do a little ritual if you want to. Same with when you get the headstone back to do a blessing for that. Like there's all sorts of stuff to do that I felt like I needed rituals to do. And I've written these over the years and I've kind of adapted them. I've tried to do different levels of witchery in this book for like a little bit like lower energy, as in like you don't have a lot to expend, and like also cost of like materials. Like it's a lot more mental exercises than like physical stuff, and not very like outwardly witchy to be like drawing attention to you. But of course those are in there too, because sometimes like relying heavily on the craft is something that we need to do. And then, of course, there's a little bit in between, and it just kind of varies as you go through the book. So anyways, moral of the story is I really hope this book is going to be helpful to people. It's one that I have wished I had with every single death for the past, like, 10 years. And so I'm glad to have it done. It's been a pain to write. Like, I don't think I will ever do the layers of witchcraft again, because good Lord, that's been exhausting. But it's something I set out to do when I started this draft, so I'm keeping it, but going forward, absolutely not. And then, like, I'm very excited with how it turned out, and I have got my proof copies ordered, and so it is going to be coming in 3 formats. As of recording this, I am in the process of trying to figure out if I can publish this through Barnes & Noble. They're like, they want you to be, like, legit. Like, I gotta fill out tax forms and, like, give them a social security number, and attach all sorts of stuff to be like, yep, I'm for realies. It makes me feel like an adult. Like, yes, please sell my book, please. So that one is in the process of being worked on. I had to fill out the form and then send it back in and then have them approve it and verify with the IRS that in fact I am allowed to try and sell books through their company. And then I can start on the process of their formats, their stuff. It might have a different edition vibe, look to it, because I cannot afford to pay for a graphic designer, nor do I think they would get it done in the time that I would need it to. And so, like, until I can find somebody that, like, I work with specifically to be like, listen, I have a very strange deadline system, and, like, I mean, I could get them to do most of the stuff when I start a project, because I always have, like, a vague idea, but sometimes I don't have the title. Like, this one, I didn't have the title till, like, today. Because it's been like, I don't know what to call it. Like, I've had a working title, but that's not always the one I'm gonna use. And so, like, I don't know. Anyways, moral of the story. I have been using the cover creator option that they have through Amazon, KDP. And so when I've done that, it's like, cool. I don't know that it's gonna transfer over and you can't download it. So, yeah, it's gonna be fun to see if I can figure it out. Because right now, my super tech savvy ways is that I take a screenshot of it with the little snippet tool and use that as my promotional picture to use for my book. But once it gets to Barnes & Noble, I don't know if I'm gonna have to use a different photo, different font, stuff like that. So it might be like, do you want this version or do you want this version? We'll find out. I haven't gotten there yet, but we'll see. So with Amazon, at least for now, I have done the very mega task of all 3 versions they offer. So for the longest time, KDP, which used to be CreateSpace, and then they got bought out by Amazon, but they only had an ebook and a print version, a paperback. Now they are offering a hardback. And so I have got all 3 options. I will say hardbacks are expensive. Just be forewarned. If you want to like really support an author, that's a great option. I do make the most money off of that one, but also your cost to the author is also the highest. I don't know if percentage-wise if it's the highest, but it definitely was a sticker shock to be like, oh, so I gotta like bump that a lot up to even consider like making money off of this. Okay, and they do have a minimum of how much you can put your book for anyways. So that said, the hardback is going to be the most expensive, but it's a hardback, so like that's kind of cool. I'm getting a copy of that for myself. And then I'm also gonna have a paperback, much cheaper, and then I will have an ebook. Now I'm not like really familiar with ebooks because I don't do those at all. Like that is the last thing I want. I want a physical copy of a book personally. So I hope that turned out good. I tried. Thank you to Mandy Lynn here on YouTube because she had a tutorial that helped me so much. I was about ready to scrap it because I was like, screw it, absolutely not, because it's not saving any of the formatting and it's like deleting words halfway through and I don't know why, and in the like original it's fine. It was a battle, and then I found out you have to like convert it to a specific file type and then it's fine, and once I did that it was okay. And then of course that was the last one I worked on. I went from hardback, paperback to ebook, and then once I got to ebook then it has like a checker, and then it actually did like a kind of spell check thing and was like, hey, did you know that like that's like probably not a word? And you're like, thank you for failing me, Google. Thank you so much for that, because it did fail me. Aftering is not a word that I would have said. Aftering retirement. I'm like, cool. Yep, that's definitely the word I meant. And apparently I spelled mourners wrong, so that was fun to be like, damn. So I gotta fix that. So I have already lists of things that I have to fix because I'd already ordered my proof copies, and I'm like, cool. But that's just one more thing that I have to do as part of the editing process. And so the ebook I could have set as a pre-order, but I don't know, and I don't know if I want to have the problems that can sometimes arise with a pre-order because it's not the final versions yet, and you can't pre-order for the hard copies, so it would only be an ebook. I've decided to not do that option. I know you can. I wish they would give you the option for the paperbacks versions or like the physical versions, but whatever. And so I saw Mandy Lynn's connuptions of having pre-orders, and I'm like, yeah, my files are like close to done, but not like done. So we're gonna not. They're living as drafts. And then, because you can have it as like pre-order for that one or just list it as a draft where it just exists. It's not for availability yet. And so once I get them approved and done, then I could think about it. But at that point, it's like, I'm releasing them all anyways, so like, it's fine. And since I'm publishing so frequently, it's not that big of a deal to me to be like, oh my god, guys, it's coming out on blah, blah, blah day. Because it's like, 2 months from now, it's the same thing's gonna happen. I'm coming out with another one. Because I want to make money as an author, so ta-da. Like, today I finished up the final, like, formatting things and got all of the, like, versions of this done. And then by now, it is noon, recording this, and I have a couple book reviews to do, and then I am going to be outlining my next project. Like, it's just a continuous cycle of work. Like, I'm not taking this time off while I'm waiting for these to come back, because it's gonna take like a week or 2 to get back, because they have to actually like make it and then ship it, so it's gonna take some time, especially for the hardback. Because I think that one said it's gonna be like almost close to my birthday when that comes, so it's gonna be a minute. But I mean, not like terribly long. It might be a birthday gift to me, from me. That would be cool. But anyways, so while that is like getting made, I'm now moving into the next project that comes out in October. That one's a fiction one. I'm really excited about it. It's about a contemporary, it's like a cozy contemporary about a real witch, like our Witchcraft real witch. And it's gonna be exciting, and it's called Witch's Night, and it's gonna come out in October. And I'm very excited for that one because it's not a heavy topic. I've been so bogged down with the topic of death and grief and how much it sucks, because like you never really get over it, and then you just have flashbacks to all of them and you're like, oh. So like having just like a fun little story of like this girl just having just a cozy little adventure, like it's gonna be so much fun in comparison. So anyways, I am going to end this ramblings for now. I will show you my copies when they come. They're gonna have the banner of death, but it's fine. At some point I probably already showed you the cover, but isn't it gorgeous? I love it. So anyways, I am gonna stop rambling. I will talk with you guys soon for more updates once I do get my copies and show you, because it's gonna be so exciting. And yeah, so anyways, until next time, I would love to hear how excited you are for my book. If you wanna buy it, what version are you gonna get? Are you gonna get the ebook, the paperback, or the hard copy? The hardback copy, that one. Which one? Let me know. Huge thank you to my patrons. I'll have their names here on the screen. If you'd like to support me and get access to exclusive content, it is patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Make sure to like and subscribe. I post every single day. Do also make sure to check out my blog. That's where you can find links to all of my content, including all of my books. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.